Hello. Yeah. Okay.
From the looks of it, there are 4 possible routes.
Now we continue.
Let's just keep it simple and call them A, B, C, and D. First, A and B.
They both seem to connect to a room that looks L-shaped.
Yeah, there were 2 doors. But they were both locked. We couldn't open them.
Now, route C. This goes all the way to the main staircase.
That means it's door 5, one of the numbered doors.
Then do you think we would meet up with the other 4 after this hallway?
No, I don't think we will.
Why not?
Look, there by the stairs. See how the gate is opened? When we went into the kitchen, it was closed. But it's open now. What do you think that means?
They opened it.
Most likely.
And if we take Route C, we're going backwards.
That would be pointless.
Then that means...
All 4 looked at the map. They all looked at the staircase, its lazy curve leading down deeper into the ship.
Route D, then.
D it is.
Yup, Route D.
Then we're set.
They jogged down the stairs until they reached the sea deck.
Everything looks okay here.
Let's check the next deck just to be sure.
Yeah, just like I thought. D-deck is totally underwater.
Just like the bottom of the central staircase.
The water gazed back at them, its smooth surface like a great mirror.
At least the water level hasn't really changed.
Small comfort.
May as well head back to C-deck.
What else is here?
There are 2 elevators over there at the top of the stairs. Just like the floor above.
Hold on, these are kind of different. See? There's a card reader on the side.
Another strange mark.
Hey, look! It's Lotus's symbol.
Huh?
See? It's the woman symbol with horns on it. That seems like... Oh, ouch, 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 ouch!
Lotus had taken hold of Junpei's hair. He began to shake him violently, and he thought he heard a low growl coming from her throat.
What was that about the mark again?
Nothing.
Much violence. Junpei began to wonder if she was not the devil itself. With an uncomfortable smile, June spoke up.
This is a Mercury symbol. The horns symbolize the wings on Hermes' staff.
Hermes, herpes, whatever. If we can't get this thing to work, these elevators aren't going anywhere.
In other words, we need a key card with the Mercury symbol on it.
Probably.
I guess we can't get on then. Let's just disregard the elevators for now.
How about this hallway on the left?
Whoa, there's so many doors.
They weren't sure how many, but certainly enough to be discouraging.
Damn it. If we try and search all these, the sun's gonna go down before we've done half of them.
I think the sun already set.
I have a feeling this ship is the only thing that's going to be going down anytime soon.
That's even worse.
Well, we can come back to this hallway later. Let's check the hallway on the other side, shall we?
Time to head back to the stairs.
To the right was a small hallway.
And now the right hallway.
Quickly they headed into it. It was approximately the same size as the alcove in front of the stairs. The hallway led toward the stern, and at its end was a set of double doors.
there are doors here too. Well, I guess it's just 4 this time.
Let's open them.
All right, let's start with this one.
Gunpei nodded and grabbed the one closest to him. Gave it a small tug and felt it move.
Huh, it isn't locked. I'm going to open it.
Thrilled to have found an unlocked door, he threw it open. Gunpei didn't know what to make of what he saw.
What?
He simply stood, unable to speak. The other simply stared open-mouthed. After a few long moments, Santa managed to speak.
What the hell is this? This place is huge.
A massive room stretched out in front of them, more a cavern than a room. Its vastness was oppressive, and it bore down on the 4 companions. It was not empty, however. The entire room was filled with lines upon lines of beds.
Oh, there are beds everywhere.
They were simple things, little more than pipe and thin mattresses.
Is this a hospital?
He had at last been able to put a name on the harsh scent that pervaded the room.
It definitely has the smell.
Could be. I see medicine cabinets and surgical tools.
Hey, look there. The 4 doors at the end.
Three of them were emblazoned with large single-digit numbers, made with thick red paint.
The left door says 3. The second door is blank, but the third has a 7. And the rightmost door is 8. There's no doubt, they're numbered doors.
Why is the second door blank? That seems kind of strange, don't you think?
No point worrying about it right now. Let's see if these will open first.
Yes, that sounds like a good plan.
Gunpei headed toward the doors, weaving his way between the beds. Started with door 3 on the left and moved to the right until he reached door 8.
Oh, it's no use.
Well, of course. If it was that easy to open these doors, what would be the point of the notary game? We have to activate the red, or the numbered doors won't... Wait a minute.
What's wrong?
Look, the display on the red. There's nothing on it.
Huh?
Don't you remember? The red at the central staircase? If no one was inside, it said vacant.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But this one,
There's nothing on it.
right?
I wonder if it's broken.
Only one way to find out.
It's not responding.
All 4 took turns placing their hands over the red, but it refused to respond. They pulled at the lever and still it did nothing. As they soon discovered, it wasn't only the red for door 8 that was behaving strangely.
How about the red on door 7? And door 3?
None of them are working.
What does it mean?
I knew it. They're broken. Zero sure sucks at maintenance.
No, that's impossible. You really think Zero, who prepared all of this, would make such a stupid, simple mistake?
Maybe, but that doesn't explain why this thing ain't working.
It was at that moment that they heard a voice from behind them.
I believe the bottom of the device has been removed.
He spun around to see,
Snake!
and it was more than just Snake.
Ace! Clover! 7!
Though they were glad to see one another, it wasn't terribly surprising that they had. If it had been the other party who'd opened the gate in front of the kitchen, it wasn't unreasonable that they'd bump into one another eventually. The rest of Snake's team, however, did look rather surprised.
How?
How did you guys... How did you end up here?
That's my line?
Perhaps we should exchange information.
After a moment of silence and surprise, everyone suddenly began to talk, desperate to exchange information. They talked about the rooms they'd been through, and how they'd ended up in the same place. Of course, none of it was very useful information, but that hardly mattered. They were happy to simply see one another again. Though the level of cheer varied greatly from person to person, each one of them was wearing some manner of a smile. Almost as though they had already forgotten about the death of the ninth man. No, thought Junpei. Perhaps that wasn't it. Perhaps thoughts of his death were what drove them to smile at one another. Not in a morbid or hateful way. No, the ninth man had died. They were still alive, and that was something to be happy about. Sort of simple, uncomplicated joy, Junpei thought. The joy of being alive. Still alive. Felt sorry for the ninth man, but more than anything, Junpei was just happy to be alive.
There you have it. Our half of the story.
His part finished, Ace fell silent. For a moment, Junpei was silent in thought. Then he spoke.
Okay, let me see if I got all this straight. When you guys got here, the bases for the Reds were already gone.
And you looked all over this room, but you couldn't find anything.
So you figured that there might be something in the hallway with all the doors.
So you went and had a look?
Yeah.
And while you were looking around, you heard voices.
Uh-huh. So you followed the voices and came back here.
Indeed. And that was how we found you.
Why don't we check those 3 Reds again, just in case?
You're right. Huh, there's a long, thin gap on the bottom. I think it's a slot for something, probably electronic.
Well, this isn't good. If the red is inactive, we can't keep going.
Well, what about that hallway over there? Isn't there anywhere else we can go?
No, there isn't. There are plenty more hospital rooms, but nothing else.
Hospital rooms. That's what's behind all those doors?
Yes. There are a number of individual rooms in addition to this large one.
There was a door at the end of the hallway, but it was locked.
There was an astrological symbol engraved near the keyhole, however. I was able to get a good feel of it. I believe it was the symbol of Jupiter.
Not again. Those goddamn things are everywhere.
I wonder what they all mean.
For a moment, everyone was silent, deep in thought.
While we're asking what things mean, what's the deal with this room? I mean, I thought this was a cruise ship, but I can't imagine a cruise ship would have a hospital like this.
Of all people, it was Seven who answered, and with calm confidence.
Well, I figure it's probably a hospital ship. Chances are it's the Gigantic.
The Gigantic?
Junpei looked confused. So did everyone else.
What is this gigantic?
Seven knit his brows for a moment, then began to explain.
The Gigantic. She was a sister ship to the Titanic, built in the early 20th century. Actually, the Titanic had 2 sister ships, and they looked exactly the same. The Gigantic was said to be one of them. They intended to make her a passenger liner like the Titanic, but World War I began soon after the ship launched. The British Navy took her over and made her a hospital ship. At some point during the war, the Gigantic was damaged by a German mine in the Aegean Sea. She ran aground afterwards, so she didn't end up sunk. What happened to her after that? One theory going around is that a man named Lord Gordain bought her. Seemed like he'd been one of the few to survive the Titanic sinking. That trauma turned him into some kind of obsessive collector of all things related to the Titanic. Soon enough, the guy wanted the Titanic itself. Which was impossible, of course. It's stuck at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. But the Gigantic wasn't. And seeing as she was identical...
So you're saying this Lord Gordain bought this ship?
Yeah, at least I think I am.
That's impossible. No way we're in some boat that's almost 100 years old.
Pipe down, just pay attention. What, that's it? Well, have you got any proof?
Proof?
Proof that this ship is really the Gigantic.
Well, this ship's got stuff that's like the Titanic and a hospital ship. So, I just figured.
Oh, for goodness. Don't tell me that's your only reason.
No, I've got more.
Like?
Well, I mean,
Evan looked around desperately, doing anything to avoid meeting Lotus's piercing stare. Scratched his head for a moment, then gave up. Finally he opened his mouth.
I don't know.
Lotus sighed and shook her head.
I guess your memory isn't back yet, is it?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Hey, whoa, wait a minute. Memory isn't back?
Junpei was, he felt, legitimately shocked by what seemed to be new and very important information. Everyone else, however, seemed unimpressed. In fact, they all looked at Junpei as though he had said something very strange.
Yeah?
Your point being?
He decided to revise his attitude for the next question.
Wait, was I the only one that didn't know?
Everyone nodded.
Why?
Oh, yeah, I guess I didn't tell you, huh? I told the rest of them before we ran into you on the stairs. I told them I couldn't remember a damn thing from before I woke up.
What?
Then, almost as if to save Junpei from further embarrassment, a bell began to ring from far away.
Huh. A bell.
It sounds like the clock in the main stairway.
Junpei counted each chime carefully.
10, 11, 12. Huh, 12.
It's midnight.
Then we've still got 6 hours left, right?
We don't have any time to screw around. Let's get going. We gotta find the missing parts for the Reds.
What do you mean, find? How on earth do you propose we do that?
We've looked everywhere in this room. That only leaves one place to look.
One?
Well, not just one.
Wait. Don't tell me you mean we need to search all of the other rooms.
Don't freak out. We've already searched 4 of them.
4 rooms?
We just have to split up the rest between the 8 of us. If each of us can do 6 rooms apiece, we'll have the other 48 rooms cleared in no time.
There are 48 other rooms?
Earlier experiences had apparently not encouraged Lotus to trust Seven. Seven scratched his head awkwardly.
Maybe?
Next is different to everything they're fucking saying. Hey.
Alright, so everyone knows which area they're searching?
Yeah.
Yes!
Junpei was chosen to search the rooms on the starboard side, moving from fore to aft.
We'll all meet up when the clock goes off again. How about in that room with all the beds?
Yeah, sounds straightforward enough.
I'll shout if I find any of the components we need.
I hope we can find them within the time limit.
If we can't, then we'll just have to come up with another plan.
Right.
Then let's do this.
The details decided, they left to begin searching. Out into the hallway they went, each to the rooms they'd been assigned. However, from far away, Junpei heard the bell ring. It's so only once. It was 1 a.m.
It's 1. I better get back to the others.
Walked through the entrance of the large hospital room to find 6 of the others already there.
Huh?
Ace, Santa, Clover, June, Seven, and Lotus had gathered in front of the door numbered 8. Or perhaps to be accurate, they had gathered in front of the red next to the door number 8.
What are they doing over there?
And one of them found the missing piece?
What happened, guys?
It was June who answered him.
Jumpy, look!
He was pointing at the red. He pushed through the others until he stood in front of it. Immediately he knew what she had meant.
Vacant?
Junpei sighed.
Come on, guys. Who was it? I thought we were supposed to yell if we found it.
Well,
Junpei wondered why she was hesitating. The others looked as confused as June, but kept their mouths shut.
What the hell? What is up with you guys?
They all knew something he didn't, and Junpei wasn't about to leave things that way. Finally, Lotus frowned and spoke.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know.
You don't know?
When I got back, it was already like this. There was no one else here. That means I was the first one back, but the missing parts were already back in the red.
What? Let me see.
Junpei looked at the bottom of the red again, just to make sure. The slot that had been open on the bottom was now covered with metal.
You're right. It's in there. What about the other 2?
They're the same.
Let me take a look.
Junpei quickly examined the other 2 boxes.
It's just as you said.
Satisfied that they were also repaired, but still very confused, he returned to the others.
Alright, I just want to be sure here. Nobody has any idea what the hell happened here, right?
Correct.
none.
Ace and June nodded silently. Seven raised his hand as if to say, not me, and Santa just shrugged. Only Clover lowered her head and did nothing.
Huh. Wait a minute.
That was when he noticed.
Where's Snake?
Junpei swept his eyes across the room a second time, but Snake was nowhere to be seen.
Does that mean that he found them?
I've no idea. There's nothing to suggest it, but nothing to suggest he didn't either.
I don't suppose we'll know until we can ask him in person.
Well, whatever he did or didn't do, he's pretty damn late. What the hell is he up to?
Maybe he's lost.
Yeah, well, that seems likely. Dude can't see. I don't know how he gets around in the first place.
Clover raised her head.
No! That's impossible!
Suddenly she was shouting.
Yeah, my brother's blind, but he's got really great hearing. He can get around as well as anyone who can see. So he couldn't get lost. That's impossible!
Clover had started to shake, and the knuckles of her hands had gone white. She spun around, but before she did, Junpei noticed tears welling up in her eyes.
I'm gonna go look for him!
Words were barely out of her mouth when she began to run.
Hey, hold on,
Run.
Clover. Wait!
Whatever. Junpei cried out to her, but he was too slow. She kept going, and before anyone else could react, she was gone.
Well, that didn't work. Damn it. What should we do now?
Well, the red is working now.
No! We're not leaving 2 people behind! We should go look for them!
Oh man, this ain't good.
Oh, yes, what an excellent idea. We just wasted a bunch of time looking for some piece of electronic junk. Now let's waste some more by looking for a couple of idiots.
Then remain here if you feel you must, but there's no time. We've only 5 hours left.
Junpei and the others nodded to one another and took off at a run. In front of the stairs that led to B deck, they decided to split up.
Let's split up.
All right, I'll take this direction.
Then I shall look that way.
I'll be over here.
See you all later.
Soon only two of them were left. Those two were Junpei and June, who had been a few steps behind the others.
All right, we should go too.
Yes, let's go! But where should we start?
Let's see. How about the casino on B deck?
Okay, let's go, Jumpy.
They took off up the stairs at a run. Before they knew it, they were there. There was Lotus. She was leaning against the wall, examining her nails.
Hey, what do you think you're doing?
She glanced up at him, unimpressed.
Isn't it obvious? I'm looking for Snake.
I'm just not seeing it.
Really? Maybe you need to look harder.
I don't think that's the problem.
Oh, by the way, I've got a proposal for you two. Care to hear it?
What is it?
Well, I don't like to beat around the bush, so I'll get right to it. Why don't we team up?
Team up?
Yeah. What? You need me to explain it to you? I'm saying, why don't we go through a numbered door?
Even if we wanted to, that's impossible.
Why?
Jumpy's bracelet number is 5, mine is 6, and yours is 8. Our digital route would be 1. But there's no number 1 door in the large hospital room. The only doors there are 3, 7, and 8.
Then we add another person.
Huh?
Who?
What, isn't that easy? 7.
Oh, if we add 7, 5 plus 6 plus 8 plus 7 equals 26. The digital root of 26, 2 plus 6 equals 8.
And the 4 of them could go through the number 8 door. But
Wait a minute. What about the other 4? Ace, Snake, Santa, and Clover.
Well, why don't you add them up?
that was simple enough.
1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. And 1 plus 0 equals 1. The digital root for those 4 would be 1.
That's right.
And you know the number 1 door isn't in the big hospital room, right?
Of course I know that.
No! Are you saying you'd leave them behind?
Of course not. What kind of woman do you think I am? Once we get off the ship, we could come back and rescue them, couldn't we? Then we wouldn't really be leaving them behind.
Don't try to lie to us. I don't think you do anything of the sort.
Really? Why do you think that?
You remember, don't you? We have less than 5 hours left. Even if we manage to escape, there's no way we could come back to rescue them in less than 5 hours.
Well, you never know until you try.
No, you're not thinking this through. Even if we brought 7 with us, we wouldn't be able to get off the ship. The 4 of us couldn't open door 9. It is hidden, but an exit can be found. Seek a way out. Seek a door that carries a 9.
Yeah, that's right. The digital route for the 4 of us would be 8, so we'd have to add Ace to make 9.
That's right. Unless we bring Ace too, we'll be stuck.
Lotus scratched the back of her ear.
Oh. Well, that's unfortunate.
Unfortunate. That's all you have to say?
She didn't sound particularly bothered by what Junpei said. Nor did she seem particularly surprised.
Well, let's try and find another way, okay? A way to get out of here with all 8 of us.
That's impossible. Are you being serious? And you do know that only 5 people, at most, can go through one of the numbered doors, right? The number 9 isn't going to be an exception to that rule. Regardless, at least 3 people will get left behind.
Huh?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
The moment he said it, Junpei felt a chill run down her spine.
Oh, wait just a second. You're skipping over a really big detail.
Yes, what she said was true, but how Lotus could remain cavalier about so terrifying a prospect was beyond him.
Is that really okay? That means 3 people will die in the end. Are you okay with that? That's just...
Lotus's forehead furrowed.
You think I could have a moment alone? There's some things I need to think about.
Junpei and Jin turned and began walking away from Lotus.
That didn't turn out to be a very pleasant conversation.
Yeah.
Junpei's heart felt heavy and his steps sluggish. But he told himself pessimism would get them nowhere.
Well, regardless,
So he forced himself to smile and turned to June.
let's just focus on finding Snake for now, okay?
Yes, you're right. We can think about those other things later.
Yeah.
Junpei nodded.
All right. Where should we go next? Let's go take a look at the first-class cabin. It's really close.
Turned around and took off down the hallway to their left. Outside of the first class... Cannot speak right now. Outside of the first-class cabin, they found Clover. He was standing in front of the wall. She was staring at a meaningless point on the wall, her eyes blank. What did Junpei do?
Are you all right?
Did his best to sound friendly, but Clover didn't respond.
Look, I know you're really worried, but...
Think of no words to say that didn't sound hollow and fake. Junpei hesitated. Clover was so consumed by worry and fear that Junpei feared it would crush her. Her actions didn't surprise him. She had suddenly lost her brother, who she seemed to have been very close to.
Alone.
Voice was thin and barely audible.
Alone.
Hmm?
Alone. I said leave me alone!
Suddenly she was screaming.
You're so annoying! Just go away and leave me alone! Just looking at you guys is pissing me off! Go away, okay? Just go somewhere else! Stop bothering me!
Junpei was taken aback. Such anger and hate. June's eyes had gone wide with surprise as well.
Why are you still here? Did you hear me? Huh? Fine, forget it. If you aren't gonna leave, then I'll just...
All right. Let's go, June.
Yeah.
Turned and left Clover. As they did, Junpei glanced back over his shoulder to see Clover wiping tears from her face. Clover had driven home the misery of their situation. But Junpei told himself that getting depressed would get him nowhere but depressed.
We really need to find Snake, for Clover's sake.
Did his best to push away the misery and depression, and forced a smile.
So, where do you think we should go next? Hey, why don't we go back to C-Deck? We can take a look at that hallway with all the rooms.
Okay, let's get going then.
Together, they ran down the stairs.
Oh, it's Ace.
Ahead of them, further down the hallway, they spotted Ace.
Hey, Snake! Where are you? Answer me if you're there!
What should Junpei do?
Let's go.
June in tow, Junpei jogged up to Ace. Hearing their footsteps, he turned to greet them.
Ah, hello there. Snake is... well, that's obvious, isn't it? I assume you haven't found him yet?
Yeah, doesn't seem like you're having any luck either.
I really wonder where he could have gone.
Well, Wherever he's disappeared to, we must find him as quickly as we can. For Clover's sake.
Right.
June's face looked kind of enraptured.
By the way, do you think Clover and Snake are really siblings?
Why would you say that?
Why would you say that? The question seemed somehow odd to Junpei.
Why? Well, it's obvious, isn't it? They don't look alike at all.
Ace looked at him for a moment and then spoke.
Yes, you know, now that you mention it, they don't.
Now that you mention it?
Still, there are a great many siblings who do not look like one another. It certainly isn't rare.
Junpei wasn't sure why, or even if he was seeing what he thought he was. But he could have sworn that Ace's face tightened as he spoke.
At any rate, we really must find Snake as soon as possible. The clock is ticking. We really can't afford to waste any time. Very well. Let's get back to the search, shall we? You can leave this area to me.
All right. Let's go, Jumpy.
At June's urging, they left. Found themselves back at the stairs, but Junpei's mind was in turmoil.
Something about that was... I'll think on it later. Like Ace said, finding Snake is our top priority.
Junpei did his best to clear his mind.
All right, where should we go next? Why don't we go back to the big hospital room?
Okay, let's go then.
They turned and headed back towards the large hospital room.
Hey, wait, that's...
On their way to the large hospital room, Junpei and June noticed Santa standing next to the number 3 door.
Santa?
Junpei paused. What should Junpei do? Junpei and June walked up to Santa.
What are you doing?
What? You can't tell? I'm checking out the red.
Why? Is there something bothering you?
What? It's not bothering you?
Huh?
The guts of this red. Why wouldn't you wonder who the hell put it back in here?
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm curious too, but...
Who do you think did it?
Santa's eyes narrowed as he looked at June. She shook her head.
I don't know.
Well, what about you, Junpei? Who do you think fixed this thing for us?
I think it was probably Zero.
Why?
Isn't that obvious? He's the guy who set this whole thing up.
You don't think that should mean the opposite? Seems to me like that means he didn't do it. I mean, who do you think took that stuff out in the first place?
Probably Zero.
Yeah, exactly. Then why the hell would he put him back in after he'd taken them out himself? It just doesn't make sense. Why do all that work?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
So, what happened then? Who put that stuff back in the Reds?
Junpei furrowed his brow.
So, in other words, one of us is the person who fixed the red.
Santa grinned.
Bingo! We have a winner!
But if that's true, then the person who did it doesn't want the rest of us to know that they fixed it.
Yeah,
But why?
no idea. Maybe if they come clean on that, it means we'd find out something else. Something bad.
Something bad?
Dunno. But whatever it is, it's gotta be worth hiding. Of course, it could have something to do with Snake's disappearance.
You think maybe they did something to Snake?
Yeah.
Junpei stared at Santa. There was something about him that made Junpei wary. At first he'd assumed the other man wasn't terribly clever, but Junpei was beginning to think that he would need to reevaluate that assessment. When Santa spoke again, his voice was quiet.
Look, if you trust anybody in this game, you're gonna lose. You gotta be careful. The person you trust the most could turn out to be the one who stabs you in the back.
That depressing suggestion? He turned and quietly walked away.
And that's that, I guess.
Junpei and June looked at one another and smiled awkwardly. Where would they go next? Oh, I've been everywhere, so... They looked everywhere they could think of, but Snake was nowhere to be found.
Snake hasn't been anywhere we've searched.
They just looked around at 6 frustrated faces and spoke.
We can't keep looking for him. Wherever he is, it's not here. We need to get moving.
Junpei couldn't disagree with what she was saying. Snake seemed to have completely disappeared. There was no point to wasting any more time. The others seemed to have similar thoughts, but they stayed silent. Finally, Seven spoke.
We don't got a choice. Lotus is right. We're not gonna find Snake. There's a problem, though. We've got to figure out who's gonna go through which door.
Yes, I have a proposal.
She walked back and forth across the floor, her heels clicking against the wood. Finally, she stopped.
Why don't we decide on one person to sacrifice?
Sacrifice?
Well, perhaps that's a bit of a harsh word, but yes. You've all figured it out by now, haven't you? We can't all make it through those doors. If we split into 2 teams of 4 and 3 people respectively, then 3 people will be left behind. If we split into 2 teams of 5 and 2 people respectively, then 2 people will be left behind. But if we split into 2 groups of 3 and leave 1 person out, then only 1 person will be left behind.
Leaving behind 3 people with 2 teams of 4 and 3. Leave behind. Leaving behind 3 people with 2 teams of 4 and 3. Don't get the fucking sentence. Hold them. Junpei wasn't quite sure that was true.
Wait a minute.
Hmm?
2 people get left behind if we split into 5 and 2. And 1 person is left behind if we split into 3, 3, and 1. I got that part. You can't go through the numbered doors with any less than 3 people. But if we split into 4 and 3, then why do 3 people have to be left behind?
Just run the numbers. Let's say we go through door 7 with 1, 4, 5, 6. Who's left over?
That would be 3, 7, 8.
What's the digital root for that?
3 plus 7 plus 8 is 18, so add 1, 8, 9.
Exactly. But door 9 isn't here, right? That means 3, 7, 8 won't be going anywhere. That was just an example, of course. There are a lot of different combinations, but the result will always be the same. It doesn't matter which floor it is. The 3 that are left over can't go through any of the doors. Go ahead and calculate it if you have the time. You'll see. Anyway, that's how it is. Now, if we can get back to my proposal, we only have to sacrifice 1 person if we split into 3, 3, and 1.
When Seven spoke, his voice was strained.
Then you're saying we gotta decide who's gonna stay behind.
Yes, we do. Given our circumstances, it's logically and morally the best solution. If the other 6 are to survive, then 1 person has to sacrifice themselves.
No, that's too cruel!
What's so cruel about it?
To just sacrifice someone like that?
Then what's your plan? Maybe we should sacrifice 2 people instead of just 1.
That's not what I meant! We shouldn't sacrifice anyone!
I told you, that's impossible. Wake up.
Whoa, whoa, calm down, you two.
Santa stepped between Lotus and June.
Look, what Lotus is trying to say is, you should aim to bring the greatest amount of happiness to the greatest amount of people, right?
Exactly. That's how democracy works. And for that reason, I think the only fair way to decide who will be sacrificed is through a vote. What do you think?
No! That's terrible!
I'm not asking you. Shut up. What about you, Santa?
Me? Well, I agree, I guess.
All right, that's 1 vote for. Counting mine, that's 2. Seven.
I can't say I agree with you, but we don't exactly have a choice. If we don't do something, we're all gonna die.
Oh, glad to see you get it. If I can get 1 more vote, then it's decided. What about you, Clover?
Clover had moved away from the group and was sitting on one of the beds. Her whole body drooped. Junpei didn't know if she'd even heard Lotus's proposal.
Hey, Clover.
Lotus walked over to Clover and gently laid a hand on her shoulder.
Your brother has to be behind one of the numbered doors. We've searched everywhere, but we didn't find him. Doesn't that mean he has to have gone through one of them somehow?
Clover slowly lifted her face.
Let's go look for him together, okay? If we sacrifice 1 person, then we can go look for him. You agree with me, right?
Okay.
Clover nodded once.
The motion carries.
Lotus spun around and walked toward Junpei.
Now, let's start a vote too.
That won't be necessary.
Ace had barely spoken for Lotus's entire speech, and everyone jumped a little. 6 pairs of eyes turned to look at it. He didn't seem to notice or even care.
I will stay. That should solve our problem, yes?
Ace, what are you saying? No, you can't do that! That won't solve anything!
June's voice shook, and she looked around desperately for someone to agree with her. Ace simply looked at her.
June, I'm afraid you may have misunderstood me. I said I would stay, but I never said I would sacrifice myself.
Huh?
I trust you, each and every one of you. I believe you'll come back for me.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. There's optimistic, and then there's just nuts. Those doors only go one way. You go in, you don't come out. If we go through them...
You won't be able to return, correct?
Yeah.
True, but that will not be the case once you've escaped from the ship.
What?
Please, I beg you. Once you've escaped, come back and rescue me. Ideally, within the time limit Zero has given us.
No, that's ridiculous. There's no way we could get back in time.
Finally, Junpei couldn't hold his tongue no longer.
We've only got 5 hours left. We don't even know where the hell we are. How on earth are we gonna find someone to come and rescue you?
Then, perhaps you would prefer to stay instead of me? Or perhaps you would be willing to leave June behind?
Ace's voice was dignified and without a hint. Ace's voice was dignified and without a hint of cruelty or malice. Junpei had no rebuttal.
You see, there's no other choice. Then I see we've come to our conclusion. Go on. Don't worry yourselves about me. Go, quickly.
Junpei stood frozen by indecision, unable to move. June bit her lip so hard that Junpei feared she would break the skin. Santa stood against a wall, calm and aloof. Ivan tore his beanie from his head and turned it over anxiously in his hands. Only Clover stared at Ace, with an expression Junpei was unable to decipher. Lotus's attitude, however, was different from the others.
Let's accept his kind offer then.
He smiled, her eyes bright. Ace answered with a smile of his own.
Good. I think this is the best for me. Perhaps I'll be able to take a nap. It may be my age, but I get tired so easily these days.
As he spoke, he lowered himself down to the floor next to one of the beds. From somewhere deep in the ship, Junpei suddenly heard the screeching of metal on metal. It was almost as if the ship was screaming. Would it really hold until their time limit was up? Already D-Deck was flooded. In sudden silence, the only sound was the sad metal wail of the ship. Unsurprisingly, it was Lotus who spoke first.
Well, what are you waiting for? We're wasting time. Why don't we hurry it up?
As if a spell had been broken, the others all began to talk at once.
You're right. We should get going. That's all we can do right now.
7.
Seriously. Honestly, I was getting kind of sick of listening to you guys talk.
You too, Santa?
I have to find my brother.
Wait, all of you. Let's just calm down and think about this. There has to be a way to get everyone out. There has to be. Right, Jumpy? Say something.
Yeah, let's think. There's gotta be another way.
That sounded hollow and fake.
Fine! Forget about it! I'll figure it out on my own.
Turn around and run toward Ace. He'd slumped down next to the bed when June grabbed his arm and pulled.
Ace! Come on, Ace. Please stand up. You can't give up yet. We just have to sit down together and think about this. We'll figure out a way that we can all get out of here.
Then it happened. Ace fell forward, slumped over onto the wooden floor, body folded in half like a boxer out cold.
Ace!
June cried out and dropped to her knees beside him. She put her arm around his neck and did her best to lift him up.
What happened? Ace, say something!
She shook him frantically. His eyes fluttered open.
I'm all right.
His voice was weak and slightly slurred.
How are you all right?
This.
He held out his left arm and slowly opened his hand.
A syringe?
In it was a syringe and a small vial. The vial was empty. It had only recently been emptied. A few drops clung to the sides. Even. There was a label taped on the side. There was a label taped to the side of the container. It read, Sovereign Beta. Sovereign Beta.
Soberil Beta. What does this do? Did you use this?
Yes. It's just anesthetic. I'll be fine.
Anesthetic?
I found it earlier. While we were searching the hospital rooms. I thought it might be useful later. I didn't think I'd be using it on myself.
Why did you do this?
Didn't I tell you? I'd like to take a nap. I really am very tired.
Junpei knew that wasn't why he'd done it. Ace had injected himself with anesthetic to forestall Junpei and June's attempts to bring him along. Couldn't move, there was nothing they could do. He'd injected himself so that they would be forced to leave him behind.
Ace,
Hmm? Is there something you want to say? I just like to sleep a little. Could you keep it down?
no, don't, Ace, don't fall asleep.
Ah, you feel warm. So comfortable. I think I'll have a nice dream.
Ace's eyelids dropped further and further, almost as though he were dying.
Ace! Ace!
He shook his shoulder again and again. This time he didn't respond. Only the gentle rising and falling of his chest told them he was still alive. Junpei was relieved to see he was, in fact, still breathing.
Let's get him up on a bed.
He lifted Ace up off the floor and laid him on the bed he'd been leaning against. When Junpei turned around, Lotus gave him a look of pity.
Well, we really don't have a choice now. We can't let his sacrifice go to waste, right?
Like you even mean that.
You say something?
No, nothing.
It felt wrong, but he had to agree. And suddenly Santa spoke.
Yeah, but we're not done choosing yet, are we?
Huh? What do you mean?
Well, we haven't decided who's going in what door.
Ah, yes. Yes, that's true.
Enough of this screwing around. Let's decide. You first, Lotus. Which door do you want?
I want door number 8. It's the same number as my bracelet number.
Got it. You're 8. You're next 7. Which one do you want?
I'll take 7. I can't get along with that old lady.
What? What did you just say?
Her face distorted by rage, Lotus took a step towards 7. Threw up his hands and made a face like a child, caught with his hand in the cookie jar.
Who, me? I didn't say nothing.
Oh, you're gonna get it next time.
She shot him a glare that would have melted steel, and turned and stalked off.
Alright, who's next?
Santa's gaze moved across the 3 people left. Finally they stopped on Junpei.
Junpei, which door do you want?
At last. Junpei's mind was already made up. 7.
I think I'm gonna go with door 7.
Okay, 7 it is.
Yeah.
Alright then. That means June's gotta go through 8.
What? Why?
What?
Santa grimaced and muttered angrily to himself, but finally began to explain.
If the 6 of us are gonna keep going without leaving anyone behind, there are only 3 ways we can do it.
Plan 8.
Have 3, 5, and 8 go through 7, and 4, 6, and 7 go through 8.
Plan B.
4, 5, and 7 go through 7, and 3, 6, and 8 go through 8.
Plan C.
Or 3, 6, and 7 go through 7, and 4, 5, and 8 get 8. There are no other combinations. In other words, 3 and 4, and 7 and 8 can never go through the same doors. You get it now?
Santa finished. June looked over at Junpei, tears welling at the corners of her eyes.
Oh no! You're saying we aren't gonna see each other again for a long time.
Junpei felt just as June did. He wanted to be at her side, through whatever trials they were preparing to face. But he knew if they were to survive, he had to swallow his feelings. In order for the 6 of them to move forward, he and June had to be separated. He looked at June. He was scared to lose her, but he swallowed, stilled his resolve, and did his best to smile.
Hey, come on. You're making it sound like we're never gonna see each other again. We gotta split up, but only for a while. This is just like when we went into the 4 and 5 doors, remember? We got split up then too, but we all met back up. I'll bet 7 and 8 are just like that.
You mean they're connected somewhere?
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
He didn't sound very hopeful. It was 7 that interjected.
Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna connect somewhere.
Why? What makes you think so?
If they don't, then neither team can get through door 9. In other words, the game would end right here. Zero's been on top of his shit so far. I don't think he'd blow it now. I'm damn sure that son of a bitch wants to have his fun as long as possible. He's not gonna end this game until we get through the 9 door.
June said nothing. Tears were gone, but her eyes were still sad as they looked at Junpei. He met them, and with what reassurance he could manage, laid his hand gently on her shoulder.
Everything's gonna be fine. We're gonna see each other again. I promise.
June bit her lip and gave him an almost imperceptible nod.
Yes. Promise?
Her voice was barely above a whisper. Santa's voice shattered the moment.
You guys are done, right?
He stretched and continued.
Anyway, that's pretty much it. Clover and I will both go into separate groups. I figure I'll take 8 and Clover can take 7. Any problems with that, Clover?
Clover looked away and was silent for a moment.
Whatever.
More of a dismissal than an agreement, but Santa didn't seem to care.
All right, we're ready to go then. Let's move.
At his command, the group split and headed for their respective doors. Clover, 7, and Junpei walked towards door 7. Santa, Lotus, and June headed for door 8. For a long moment, they stood in front of the door. 7 took a deep breath.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's go.
It's open!
A narrow hallway stretched out before them. 7 and Clover leapt through the door.
Let's do this!
Hurry!
The moment they did, their bracelets beeped. The detonators in the bracelets had been activated. Junpei stepped forward to follow them. As he was about to step over the threshold, he stopped. He looked to his right, toward door 8. June stood there, a mirror image of Junpei. He turned and looked toward him. Their eyes met. They nodded.
June.
Jumpy.
The farewell took almost 1.5 seconds.
What the hell are you doing, Junpei?
Then someone took hold of Junpei's arms and hauled him bodily through the door. He heard the sound of the numbered door slam shut behind him. Bracelet gave a cold electronic beep.
Only 81 seconds left! No time to waste, guys! Let's get moving!
7 led the way down the hallway. Junpei and Clover followed him as fast as they could. After what seemed like far more than 81 seconds, they reached the end of the hall.
Look! The door on the left! I can see the dead!
There was no time to rest or catch their breath. All 3 slammed their hands in quick succession over the scanner panel and the dead. While trying to catch his breath, 7 leaned heavily against the wall.
It stopped. It stopped.
His smile seemed forced and a little crooked.
This is the second time we've gone through one of these numbered doors, but... Whew. You never really get used to it.
He stood up straight, no longer out of breath, and wiped some of the sweat from his head and neck. Clover smirked at him.
I would have thought a guy your size would have bigger balls than that.
What? What the hell did you just say? Say it again! I dare you!
You have no...
You little... You wanna die?
I'd like to see you try.
You fucking brat! Alright, let's go!
Hey, calm down, guys. This isn't the time for this. It's not gonna do us any good.
Junpei sighed. Sometimes he wondered if the doors and the puzzles were really the greatest challenge they faced.
Wait here for a minute, alright? I'm gonna go see if there are any other doors.
They didn't respond, but Junpei wasn't in the mood for a conversation anyway.
We just came through this door. And of course it's shut tight. There's a short hallway on the left here. And an iron wall. I doubt I can get through it.
Last, he gave up and returned to Seven, who was tapping lightly on the wooden door.
This door's the only option we've got, right?
Yeah, looks like it.
Hey, something's written on the door. On that iron plate.
It says operating room. If this thing's telling the truth, there could be body parts inside here.
Well, this is probably not going to be pleasant.
Something about it made Junpei feel nervous.
Well, there's no point to standing around. Might as well go in and see what's waiting for us.
Seven grabbed the brass knob and slowly opened the door. The creak of the hinge sounded like the groan of an old woman.
What's wrong?
No, it's nothing.
Chill snaked its way down Junpei's spine.
Let's just go.
Quickly, he gathered what courage he could and took the first step into the room. Seven followed with Clover right behind him.
Huh?
Part of the room just past the door was obscured by a screen.
What the hell is this?
Why don't we take a look?
Hey, Clover!
Clover's curiosity got the better of her, and she darted past Junpei to peer around the screen. The scream nearly blew out Junpei's eardrums.
What?
Clover!
He and Seven ran towards Clover to see what had frightened her.
Hey, what's wrong?
They rounded the screen, and the cause of her outburst was immediately clear.
What the hell is this?
Is this a corpse?
It was something that looked kind of like a human, lying across some sort of bed. No, not a bed. An operating table. The table sat on a rusty steel lift, and a cluster of bright operating lights shone down on it from the ceiling.
We should probably take a closer look.
Yeah.
Slowly, they approached. After they got closer to the body, it became clear that it wasn't a body at all.
This is...
What the hell? That's just a huge doll or something.
Doll?
Clover did not look terribly comforted. Slowly, she approached the operating table and looked at, as intensely as possible, from as far away as possible, at the thing. Junpei could see her relax.
You're right. It's only a doll. Man, it really scared me.
She heaved a great sigh of relief and wiped a few drops of sweat from her forehead. Seven smirked.
Well, I guess it would have been weird if you actually had any balls.
Shut it! Don't you start with me, fatty.
Oh, what's this? You want a piece of me, short stuff?
Yeah, bring it on, you whale!
Hey, guys, not again, okay? Seriously, knock it off. Jeez. Anyway, it looks like he's got something the two of you could stand to have a little more of. I'm talking about a heart.
Huh? Oh, this? You mean on his chest?
Yeah.
It was set a little higher than normal for a human body, but from the shape of the organ, there could be no doubt that it was his heart. Was a heart.
Why would there be a heart in a doll?
I don't think it's a doll.
You think maybe it's like a medical mannequin or something?
Or maybe it's got more personal uses.
Seven's grin was more than a little perverted. Clover glared at him.
Anyway, how about we take a look around this place? Let's go.
Okay.
Sure thing.
Operating table. Do you think old operating tables look like this? No idea. Hey, I wonder what this thing is. It says kg on the display. I think maybe it's a scale. Those are really kind of creepy, you know. It says something here. John. You think that this doll... you think that's this doll's name? Maybe. This thing is creepy. I wonder why it's on the bed. White cloth. Medical mannequin with its gut showing. Ew. Gross. Hey, Junpei. There's a slit in this thing's chest. Yeah, sure is. There's something in there. Maybe we can get it out. Damn it. Stinking thing won't budge. It's stuck. Well, I guess you can't use force on this one then. We need something small that we can fit in that hole. Table that the mannequin is sitting on. None of this other stuff looks useful. Yeah, it's all pretty rusty. See, this thing's internal. That's something that could fit in these open into these cracks. Maybe we could take out some of the internal organs. Like a scalpel? Fine, no. Bunch of surgical tools. Another medical mannequin? From the looks of it, this one's a chick. She has a name too. Lucy. Poor thing. Looks like Miss Lucy only has a head and an arm, and a left arm. Maybe we're supposed to gather all her parts. Out of her voice attached to the bed. KG on the pallet. There's a scale? What's this thing? It's got those short iron legs. Maybe it's a heater? Nothing inside it. Maybe you're supposed to heat something like that gauze to kill the bacteria. There's a boiling thing over there. Nothing on the lid or in the drawers. There's a lot of different kinds of medication. Hard to tell them apart. Drawer is empty. Yeah, nothing there. That doesn't look very comfortable. Head and left arm. We're gonna put all the others there first. Fine. The organ is all gone. Really clever, I expected more from you. Oh, like you could do better. All came through here. Looks like it's locked. I'm gonna need a key for this one. It's locked. Probably find the key if we just look some more. Let's look somewhere else. We're cutting this organ with a scalpel. Cool, it's unlocked. I think you can hang your coat here. There's a bunch of hooks. Let's see if... Huh? Piece of paper. What's this? Some kind of medical record? What the hell are you doing? Don't you want to get out of here? I'm tired. I really like going through the beaker. Hit the thing on the right. White light on top is glowing. Yeah, but the red, blue and purple ones still aren't lit. Medical record found in the preparation room. It has records for the two mannequins. There is a male mannequin named John and a female named Lucy. The records show each mannequin's total weight and the weight of their individual parts. It won't open. Looks like it's locked. There's a red plate on it. Do you think that means something? Yeah, it's not open. Locked, of course. The blue plate on there seems a little suspicious, though. Yeah, not open. Won't even budge. Got this purple plate on it too. A sink. Doctors and nurses probably wash their hands here before an operation. Nothing suspicious here. There's a lock on the door. Key I've got won't open it. What's this? A light switch? Doesn't seem to be working. It's locked. It won't even budge. Do you think this is the exit? Awesome. Unlocked. Hey, Jimpy, do you think there are any slugs on the ship? Huh? And if there are, I was thinking we could put salt on them. What's she pointing at? Legal states NaCl. Oh, huh? Do you think 7 will shrivel up if we put it in? Hey. Hey, you say something. Jimpy, there's a bottle of iron powder on the shelf. You know it's iron. The label says Fe. Fe stands for iron, right? Something stinks. Coming from this bottle. It says NH3. Well, that of course stinks. It's ammonia. Oh, good stuff. Let's go for a drink. What are you talking about? Talking about that bottle. It says C2H5OH, right? Ethanol. That's right. It's also known as ethyl alcohol. Pretty much what booze is made of. So, you gonna drink it? No, I won't. It might say that's what it is on the label, but there could be anything in there. What's this? Looks like a can with a spray nozzle. It says CO2. And filled with carbon dioxide. Hey, Jumpy. There's a hydrogen monoxide on the shelf. Why don't you just say water? There's a note on the top of the table. Plan 1, salt 2, water 3, carbon dioxide, ammonia and ethanol. What do you think this is a hint for? It's got something to do with this box. Then wide open. Is it locked? Probably need to put in a passcode. I mean, geez, you even got a keypad on there. How much more obvious can you get? Yep, I can only enter 3 numbers. Here's where intimacy is clear. Don't put the number, press E. If you mess up, press C. Give it a shot. H2O. H must mean hot, and the O probably stands for orphans. And H2O must be made of 2 hot orphans. 7. Is your head okay? NaCl. No, sodium and Cl is chloride. What was made up on soda? Rectangular table. I wonder, did people mix medicine on this thing? The first line maybe represents a number. 5, 6. Oh, the fucking clue would help. Some sort of lid on this thing. Why didn't you try opening it? Can't, there's no handle. Can't get it under it with my nails either. From there, yeah. Hey, it turned red. Forget about that. Didn't you hear that just now? Blue now. I think I heard another noise. Oh, I get it. You combine the red and blue liquid to make a purple one. Good job, Jumpy. Purple light came on, and I heard it unlock. Sure, it's unlocked. Lock with the purple plate has gotta be unlocked. Well, let's see what happened. Ew, that's gross. That's the chest. Woman's chest. The heart's gone, but it's pretty hot. That kind of thing turns you on, 7. You're a real creepo. Says a really big nose. This is a really big nose. That's no nose. It's a stomach. Oh, stomach. This is the left foot of the mannequin. You think I'm better? What? You think my legs are skinnier? The right foot of the medical mannequin. Guess it's a woman's foot, but damn, doesn't look hot at all. You got a thing for feet, 7? No, oh, that's crazy. You're acting kind of shady. I need to look at the name before I speak, don't I? Anything on the damn. Whatever. What's it like going outside? Okay. There'll be some fucking thing in here. Okay. I don't get this at all. There's Effie. Even with only one atom, it's still more. H3, nitrogen and hydrogen. In other words, ammonia is made of 1 nitrogen and 3 hydrogen atoms. It's carbon, H is hydrogen, O is oxygen. Basically, ethanol is made of 2 carbon. It's hydrogen and 1. Fuck does this mean? Iron made of 1 atom. Salt. 2. Water is 3. Ah, I get it now. Carbon dioxide is 3. Ammonia is 4. Ethanol 9. 349? Empty box. Nothing left inside.
You think we should go back?
Yeah, I think that's probably best.
Why were not on the left? Junpei was about to follow her when he realized that Seven wasn't following suit.
Hey, Seven, what's up?
Oh, well,
He looked up at Junpei distractedly, then back down at the brown bottle he held cupped in his large hands.
Is that a medicine bottle?
I got curious about it. Here,
In response, Seven tossed the bottle gently to Junpei. He caught it, twisted it around and read the label.
Ethylene diamine tartrate?
yeah, that's right. CDT.
What kind of medicine is that?
It's not medicine. I think it's an industrial strength detergent.
Why would they have something like that here?
Well, probably to clean stuff up.
Clean what up?
Fuck if I know. Still, it looks like it's cleaned my brain up.
Junpei looked up from the bottle.
You remember something?
Yeah.
Seven nodded slowly and spoke.
Well, I remember a story about EDT. Happened about 50 years ago. There was this factory somewhere in America making big old EDT crystals. They were making it to sell as an industrial strength cleaner, like I told you before. But a year after the factory started up, something strange started happening with the crystals they were building. Water molecules started attaching themselves to the EDT crystals. This made them into a sort of mutation of the original crystals, called a hydrate. Once the crystals turn into a hydrate, though, it's useless as a cleaner. The factory had to just dump the crystals. As a hydrate, they were useless. But it didn't end there. After that day, the same thing started happening in EDT factories everywhere, even ones nowhere near that first American factory. They'd been making crystals the same way, with the same materials and the same equipment and environment. But now, all of a sudden, every single crystal they formed turned into a hydrate. In fact, ever since that day, no factory anywhere has been able to make a pure EDT crystal. Even in EDT research done years before, they'd never gotten a hydrate. But after it happened at the first factory, it just spread. It was like, man, how do you say it?
Like the molecules were communicating with one another, transmitting information in a way humans couldn't perceive. This phenomenon spread throughout the world, right?
He looked up at Seven with half a smirk. Seven stared at him dumbfounded.
Yeah, that's it exactly. But how did you know?
I heard another story, kind of like that one.
When?
In the freezer?
What? The freezer?
Yeah, June told me.
Junpei told Seven the story he'd heard from June in the freezer in the kitchen. And one day, glycerin began to crystallize. And the story of ice that wouldn't melt at room temperature. When Junpei was done, Seven looked thoughtful and absent-mindedly rubbed the scar on his chin.
Ice that doesn't melt at room temperature, huh?
That sounds familiar?
Yeah, hold on. I feel like I can remember something. It's right there.
Seven squinted. The eyes stared off into space, as if he were trying desperately to focus on something far away.
Do you? Do you know about Ice 9?
Ice 9? Ice 9. Ice 9. Ice.
Suddenly, Seven's eyes shot open.
That's it. I remember now. That woman, she's on this boat.
That woman?
Alice!
Who's Alice?
Come on, the woman who won't melt at room temperature.
Huh?
It became clear to Seven that Junpei had no idea what he was talking about. He ran his hand across his face and took a deep breath.
You know how the Titanic sank on April 15th, 1912, right?
Yeah, more than 1,500 people died. Worst maritime accident in history. What about it?
Did you hear about the boat that was sent to collect the dead bodies?
I think that was the RMS Carpathia, right? It was a cruise liner, just like the Titanic.
No, that was the ship that picked up the survivors. The ship that collected the dead bodies was the CS McKay Bennett. The McKay Bennett showed up on April 17th, 2 days after the accident. It set out from Halifax, a port in Canada, and recovered 306 bodies. The Atlantic that far north was really cold. It would have to be for there to be icebergs and stuff. Anyway, the bodies they pulled out of the water were frozen solid.
This isn't a very nice story. So, what happened next?
Well, they say the McKay Bennett recovered something more than just dead bodies. There were various bits of stuff floating around in the water. Things the drowned had carried with them, or stuff that dislodged as the ship sank. One of the things they found was a coffin.
A coffin?
Yeah, a wooden one. The craftsman who made it must have been pretty skilled. It wasn't just a wooden coffin. It was all wood, no nails, no reinforcements, no gaps in the wood anywhere. The thing was airtight. The crew got pretty curious about what might be inside it and opened it up. They had to get a wedge and hammer it open. It was so well made. Inside, they found a woman. Or, I guess you should say, they found the dead body of a woman. Her hair was thick and black, and her skin rich brown with no blemishes or signs of decomposition. They say that she looked gorgeous, like a goddess. She was obviously dead, but everyone who looked at her said she just looked like she was sleeping. Her skin was so lifelike, she looked like she might wake up any minute. And she didn't, though. Like the rest of the bodies they found, she was frozen solid. Eventually, the McKay Bennett finished searching and returned to Halifax. The 306 bodies were unloaded and taken ashore. However, it was warm enough that they began to thaw. They say that the stink was horrible. But there was one body that didn't thaw. And that was...
The girl in the coffin!
That's right. Everybody thought for sure that she'd melt and start to rot like the rest of them eventually. But weeks passed and nothing happened. And a month passed, and another. And it was summer, and she was still frozen solid. After a while, people started to say she was some sort of miracle. Rumors about her started to spread. People came to visit Halifax from all over. After a while, people started to call her All Ice. Alice. Of course, those rumors didn't last long.
Why?
Well, she up and disappeared. One day Alice was there, the next day she wasn't. They say someone snuck into where they were keeping her and stole the body. With the body gone, the rumors followed pretty quickly. After a while, no one remembered her. You might be able to find something about her if you could find a newspaper from back then, but that's about it.
Wait, you just said that she was on this boat.
Yeah, I did. Alice has got to be somewhere on this ship.
Now why the hell would you say something like that?
Because I know.
And just what is it you know?
What happened to Alice after she was stolen?
Gunpei gulped.
All right, tell me, what happened to Alice?
Seven nodded slowly and took on the look of a man recalling something long buried.
Well, around that time, the word was that there was a special black market in New York. All millionaires from all over the world. I've heard that Alice went up for auction there. The person who won the auction was Lord Dashiell Gordain. You've heard that name before, right?
Lord Gordain. Oh, isn't he the guy who bought the Gigantic? The Titanic's sister ship?
Yeah, that's him. Although I guess he hadn't done that yet.
What do you mean?
Gordain bought Alice in 1912. 4 years later, in 1916, he bought the Gigantic. And he hid Alice somewhere on the Gigantic. But nobody knows where. He died in 1931, and apparently he died without ever telling anyone where Alice was hidden. However,
However, what?
Well, he did have one close friend who asked him, "Where is Alice?" And he said, "Alice sleeps in a small chamber past the Forest of Knowledge beneath the navel of the Gigantic."
What the hell is that? Is it some kind of riddle?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Seven threw his hands up in defeat.
So that's it. Whatever you think, I believe it. She's hidden somewhere on the Gigantic. In other words, she's hidden somewhere on this ship.
Before Junpei could dispute Seven's rather bizarre claim, Junpei was trying to figure out what on earth he was going to say next. Clover's shrill voice pierced the room.
Hey, what are you two doing over there? Stop wasting time and get over here!
Okay, we're coming.
Jeez!
Seven looked at Junpei.
Yeah, so anyway, that's the story. It might be useful someday. Don't forget it.
With that cryptic remark, he turned and left the room.
Alice. Huh.
Junpei was left behind to ponder what he'd just heard. Tried to remember what June had told him earlier.
That mummy wasn't just a normal mummy. They say that she was frozen. The story says that from the time of its discovery all the way through to when it got put on the Titanic. Even though it was carried through the desert, her body never melted.
Then was that Egyptian priestess Alice? Did the water in her body become Ice 9? No, that's nuts. There's no way somebody like that could exist.
Junpei shook his head, trying desperately to clear it, and followed Seven to the operating room where Clover was waiting. Okay, so we've collected the 6 parts of the medical mannequin. So the ones we've got must be for Lucy, right? Yeah. Seems like it. Well, I say we give Lucy her parts back. Any objections? Nope. Agreed. Alright, let's get started. Come on. Oh, there's a number on here. 51 kilograms. What's this? Is this the weight? We're just stacking body parts on it, so it makes sense that it would be the weight. You say the weight. Hey, nothing happened. That's odd. Maybe it's the wrong weight. Weight? Yeah, well, you know, there's a scale on the side of the bed. Maybe we need to get the scales to a specific number. How are we gonna do that? I think we're supposed to swap our body parts with John's. Oh. Let's give it a shot. Nice if I had a fucking idea what I'm going for. Notice. I think if we knew the weight of each part, we could figure it out. Yes, that would certainly fine. Damn file would show the fucking things. Jinbei, are you looking at that medical record? I'm trying fucking to! You're not showing any fucking information! Ugh. Why don't you use your hints and you're never gonna figure it out? Maybe I ought to take a look at the thing. Well, I fucking have looked at the damn thing. It doesn't show any fucking information because there's no fucking information there. Jesus fucking Christ. Look, nothing. Nothing. No other pages. Nothing. Fuck's sake. Ugh. $53.2. Displayed anyway. Fucking interface, it should just show the fucking information any fucking way. Hey, Junpei, I just heard something. Came from John's operating table. Better check it out. Fucking annoying. Huh? The lid on the scale. Hey, it opened. Oh, I get it. Must have opened because we matched John's weight to what's on the chart.
Hey, hold on.
They stopped about to put the key in the doorknob.
Oh, what's up?
Where's Clover?
Huh?
They turned around. Clover was nowhere to be seen.
Oh, god damn it. Where the hell did she go? Okay, just hold on a minute. I'll go get her.
Sure thing.
They left Seven at the door and headed back to the operating room. He found her, standing next to the operating table. She was staring at the mannequin.
Hey, Clover. What's wrong? Come on, let's get out of here.
She didn't respond. She hadn't been standing up and breathing. Junpei might have thought she was dead.
What are you doing? Did you want to come back here and say goodbye to John?
Wasn't the best joke, but it was something. an attempt to lighten the mood. Clover didn't laugh. She stood stock still and said nothing.
Hey, Clover, can you hear me?
Perhaps it was something he'd said, or perhaps it was something else. Suddenly her mouth opened and she whispered in a dry, dead voice.
My brother might be dead.
Huh?
That's why we couldn't find him. If he's dead, I'm going to be next.
Suddenly the operating room felt very, very cold.
What are you talking about? What's wrong with you?
Gave her a small shake, but she still didn't respond. Silence grew heavier. Junpei, what do you want to do?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't know why, but suddenly Junpei remembered something he'd been given earlier.
It's in my pocket somewhere. Here it is.
Reached into his pocket and dug it out.
A 4-leaf clover.
Linda had given it to him in the second-class room. He held it out to Clover.
Hey, did you know? Each leaf means something. Hope, faith, love, and luck. That's what a 4-leaf clover stands for. Take it. Use it as a good luck charm.
Pressed the 4-leaf clover into her hand.
Listen to me, Clover. No matter what happens, you can never lose hope. You have to remember what's most important, and that's to have faith and to have love. If you can remember all of those, that'll bring you good luck. Snake, I mean, your brother, he's not dead. He's alive, somewhere. I'm sure of it. You've just gotta believe in that.
Clover stared at the 4-leaf clover in her hand. You could see tears start to form at the corners of her eyes.
Thank you.
Her voice was thin and broken as she spoke. She started to cry. She tried to hide her tears by looking at the floor, but it did little good. She wiped away tears with the baggy arms of her jacket, but more quickly took their place. No matter how she tried, she couldn't stop crying. The tears made small wet circles on the floor.
Thank you.
She said it again. And she looked up at Junpei and seemed to choke down the last of her grief. She did her best to smile. Junpei wiped an errant tear from her cheek with his thumb and gave her the best smile he could manage.
Oh, come on. Seven's waiting for us at the exit.
But still, she didn't move.
Wait, before we go, there's one thing I want to ask you.
What's that?
What do you think when you hear the word experiment?
For a moment, his mind froze. Then he came back to his senses and realized the word meant nothing to him, aside from the dictionary definition.
What?
Oh. I guess it was just a coincidence then. I mean, that you knew about the 4-leaf clover.
Look, I'm sorry. I don't want to be a jerk, but you are making less than no sense right now.
Oh, no. It's nothing. Just forget about it.
Oh, don't give me that. You really think I could just drop this? What is this experiment you were talking about?
Clover looked away. Leaf clover was still in her hand. She stared at it for a long moment and then finally spoke.
You promise you won't tell anyone?
Cross my heart.
Really?
Really?
I can trust you, right?
Of course you can.
Clover slipped the 4-leaf clover into her pocket. Her eyes still red from crying, she looked up at Junpei.
Okay then, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what happened on this ship 9 years ago.
Wait. On this ship?
Yeah, this ship.
He was entirely lost. He had 1,000 questions, but it was probably best he thought to save them until Clover had finished.
It was an experiment to test some sort of psychic thing. Communicating through these fields that you can't see.
Fields that you can't see?
He'd heard something like this before. Clover nodded.
Like, think about this.
He pointed at the operating table. On top of it was a somewhat mismatched medical mannequin whose parts had been swapped with another mannequin.
This is John, right? But is he really John?
Huh?
All Junpei could think was, she has finally completely lost it.
Isn't this like Locke's socks? Or the ship of Theseus?
Junpei grew even more confused. Never heard of either of those things, although they sounded smart.
You don't know? You haven't heard of those paradoxes?
No?
Junpei shook his head.
Really?
Clover laughed.
Okay, well pay attention then. This is how Locke's socks works. Let's say I've got a pair of socks. They're my favorite socks. One of them gets a hole in it. What would you do if that was your sock, Junpei?
Well, I guess I'd patch it up, get some cloth, and close up the hole.
But what if another hole opens?
I'd add another patch, I suppose.
What if another hole opened after that?
Another patch, I guess?
Well, let's say you just keep adding new patches. Until eventually, the original cloth of the sock is totally gone. Once you get to that point, can you really say they're the same socks you started with?
Well, that's tough.
Junpei crossed his arms.
So, that's the Lock Socks thing?
Yeah, the ship of Theseus is a lot like it. The ship of Theseus. If you keep fixing the damaged parts of a ship, eventually it ends up with none of the parts it started with. Can you really say that ship is the same one you started with? And what if you took all the old parts from the first ship and built another one somewhere else? Then which ship is the real ship of Theseus? The one you repaired, or the one you built with all the original parts?
Was an interesting question. Clover could see Junpei was intrigued.
Hey, do you think it's the same?
What's the same?
These guys. Is this John, or is it Lucy now?
Junpei looked at the operating table again. Mannequin full of body parts from a different body. Clover had been right. It was just like Locke's socks in the ship of Theseus. Part of the body that holds a person's identity is the head. Of course, for many hundreds of years, conventional wisdom had held that a man's identity resided in his heart, or any of a number of internal organs. And here they had both.
John's head and heart are both his. But apart from those, and a single arm, the rest of his body was once Lucy's.
That mannequin really, John?
We're just like these mannequins.
He looked at Junpei again.
Think about it. The cells in our body change every day. Old ones die and new ones are born. Maybe part of my arm is made of stuff from a fish I ate once. Or maybe part of your right side is made from a cow you ate. If you take it a little further, those cows and fishes are made from something else too, right? That's how we're all connected. Through fields that can't be seen with the naked eye.
Silence was broken by Seven.
Hey, what the hell is taking you two so long?
Seven's head appeared in the doorway. He was not happy.
How long are you gonna make me wait? We don't have time to screw around.
Junpei and Clover looked at each other. Clover looked at Junpei as if to say there was more she wanted to tell him. She shook her head. Whatever she had to tell him, she didn't want to tell him in front of Seven. Seven seemed to catch on.
Oh? What were you two doing? Was this some sort of secret meeting?
No, it wasn't. We were just
Just...
playing with the mannequins.
Huh?
Let's go, Junpei.
Moving a little bit too fast to be entirely innocent, Clover headed toward the exit. Seven stared after her, then turned to Junpei with an amused expression.
Playing with mannequins, huh? Didn't know you were into that kind of thing, Junpei.
You're a dick.
Junpei dashed past him and traced Clover's path out the door. With a short laugh, Seven followed. Stood in front of the door. Junpei took out the Jupiter key.
All right, I'm gonna open it now. Is that cool?
You don't need to keep asking, just do it, alright?
Fine then.
Slid the key into the keyhole and turned it. Felt it unlock. Door opened with a soft, melancholy creak. Beyond it lay a simple white hallway. There was no fanfare or confetti. Obviously, there was no one there to applaud them. They simply walked through the door. Was it?
All right, let's get going.
Hey man, what's up with you? You're so serious, you know? Can't you sound more happy, get a little excited?
Not really.
Junpei turned away from Seven and took his first step down the simple white hallway.
My brother might be dead. I'm going to be next.
Clover had told him only a few minutes before that her brother was probably dead. She was likely to follow him.
Like hell I can. Not after hearing something like that.
Eventually, the fire should have just displayed the information. Yeah, whatever. They left the operating room. The hallway took them around several corners and past several doors, but they were all locked.
There too, huh? Every door in this place is locked up tight.
How about that one?
The final door was hidden in a corner of the hall.
May as well give it a try.
Junpei grabbed the handle. As he made to push it open, a voice stopped him. The voice came from behind him and belonged to neither Seven nor Clover.
Jumpy!
Huh?
Spun around. Saw someone running toward him from the other end of the hallway. There were 3 people coming towards Junpei and his companions.
June? And Santa? And Lotus too?
Pulled up short in front of Junpei, breathing hard.
Whoa! What the hell is this?
What are you doing here?
What? But we didn't...
Before he could finish, Clover spoke.
Hey guys, could you come take a look at this?
She was standing near the end of a small hallway that branched off to the right. The rest of them ran over to her, curious as to what she'd found.
Look on the wall here.
There was something on the wall at the end of the hallway.
A map of the ship's interior?
It says C deck.
So it's the map for this floor then?
Door 7 and... Door 8. Yep, they both eventually end up at this hallway.
In fact...
Yeah, isn't that what I said? We aren't going to be split up permanently till we find door 9. We might get separated for a little while, but we'll see each other again. Otherwise, we won't be able to open door 9. That's how the nonary game works.
I see.
Junpei looked at the map of the ship's interior again.
Wait a sec. Hey, could this lead to...
As they looked more closely, Surprise and excitement gave way to weariness.
Oh,
You've got to be kidding me.
One by one the others saw what he'd seen.
We may as well go.
yeah.
They moved as one for the door.
Oh, almost forgot. We should keep this.
He pulled the map of the ship's interior off the wall, put it in his pocket, and followed the others. 6 of them stood in front of the door, arrayed in a semicircle. Santa stepped forward. He took hold of the door and spoke without looking back at the other 5.
Ready? I'm gonna open it.
Slowly, all 5 nodded, their silent assessment. Sent. With a deep breath, Santa threw open the door. They poured through the doorway and into the room. Even without looking around, each one of them knew where they were.
I knew it.
They were just where the map had said they would be.
We're back. In the hospital room.
I see. I believe I understand what you're saying. The 6 of you split into 2 teams and went through doors 7 and 8. You solved the puzzles in the operating room and the laboratory, and then met one another in the hallway after opening your respective locked doors.
It looked like anyone might after only just waking up. It seemed that his brain was working as well as ever. He managed to grasp, summarize, and understand each team's report.
At any rate, I feel a bit silly for my little show of altruism. I know I said I was sure you'd come back for me. I didn't think it would happen so soon, though.
Ace shook his head with a rueful smile.
Well, we saw each other again and we ain't dead, so I'd say that's good enough.
7 smiled.
Anyway, I say we get out of this creepy old place. We found the key we need.
The key?
Ain't that what I just said? I'm talking about the Jupiter key. We found it in the operating room. Right, Junpei?
Yeah.
Junpei nodded.
Oh, the solar system keys. Actually, we found one in the laboratory too. Here, the Earth key.
Lotus dug out a still warm key with an Earth symbol on it.
I might lose it. It's probably better if you hold on to it. That way it won't be my fault if it gets lost.
Yeah. On it.
With that, she pressed it into Junpei's hand. He felt slightly less than honored.
Now we have 3 keys that we haven't used yet.
Yeah. The Jupiter key that we found in the operating room. The Saturn key card we found in the kitchen. And the Earth key Lotus just gave me.
Junpei tucked the new keys into his pocket. June spoke up.
The Jupiter key is supposed to be for the door at the end of that long, straight hallway, right?
Yeah. If the map's right, then it connects to the central staircase. Then, next to the stairs...
Wait!
They were the first words anyone heard out of Clover in quite some time. Her face suggested they weren't going to be very happy words.
What about door 3?
Look, you saw the map, right? It's the same as 7 and 8. It just lead us back to the big hospital room. There's no point to seeing what's on the other side of that door.
There is a point. At least there is for me.
There were tears in her eyes. She glared at Seven as hard as she could, just the same. She looked very much like a frightened puppy. There wasn't a man alive who could have resisted those eyes. Seven looked everywhere in the room except at Clover and muttered and coughed apologies under his breath.
Yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. Snake might be on the other side of door 3.
Clover nodded once. The next person to speak was Ace.
Very well. I'll be coming with you then. I've had a nice long rest. I think it's time I was up and about again. So, Seven, you'll help me, won't you?
Huh? Me?
Junpei did the calculations quickly in his head. 4 plus 1 plus 7 equals 12. 1 plus 2 equals 3. It looked like 7 was doing them too. At last, he gave up.
Damn. Well, I guess that's how it's gotta be. So I'm going with you, huh?
Yes, you are.
All right, let's get moving.
And so it was decided that Clover, Alice, 7, and 7 would discover what lay beyond door 3.
Okay, we're heading out.
Be careful.
Oh. Didn't think I'd be hearing that from you, Lotus.
Don't let it go to your head. I'd be in trouble if the 3 of you bought it. The rest of us can't open the 9 door.
Ah, the truth comes out.
Helen nodded, as if this answer made much more sense, and pulled the lever on the red.
Okay, we're off.
The door opened, and Ace, Clover, and 7 jumped through it. 6, 7, 8. After exactly 9 seconds, the door closed noisily.
All right, we should get moving too.
Huh?
Get moving.
Where are we going?
Everyone except Lotus seemed rather confused.
Well, it would be a waste of time to just sit around, wouldn't it? Let me explain.
Oh, I get it. We're gonna see if we can get anywhere interesting with the Jupiter key.
Yes. If we're lucky, we might find Snake.
We're at the end of the hallway lined by individual hospital rooms.
And here's the Jupiter symbol on the keyhole.
All right, Junpei, open it if you please.
Yeah, on it.
Junpei pulled the Jupiter key out of his pocket and slid it into the keyhole. He twisted. With a nice sharp click, he felt the door unlock. Junpei sucked in a breath, held it, and opened the door as quietly as he could. Inside was exactly what he expected to see from the map of the ship's interior. They were in a tremendous hall, almost like a ballroom, with a massive central staircase.
Great, back to the beginning. You sure this is a good idea?
What do you mean?
Well, we already searched every inch of this room, didn't we? I'm asking you if there's any reason we came back here.
Of course there's a reason. Man, sometimes I can't tell if you're smart or just lucky.
Huh?
This.
Junpei pulled 2 things out of his pockets.
The Saturn key card. And the Earth key? I'm lost.
Santa cocked his head to one side, like an inquisitive bird, and looked at them. After several long moments during which it became apparent that Santa had no idea what the cards meant, June took pity on him.
Don't you remember, Santa? On C deck, where we are now, there was a big elevator behind the stairs, remember? And next to the elevator, there was a card reader with the Saturn symbol on it. And on A deck, on the door to the left, there was a keyhole with the Earth symbol on it, I think. So the 2 keys that Jumpy has?
Should let us use the elevator and the door on A deck. Huh.
Yes, that's right.
June smiled, pleased with herself. So did Santa.
All right, I got it. Let's get started then. What do you say we split into 2 teams? Lotus and I will search the Earth one, so you 2 can search Saturn, all right?
Sounds good. Then you guys should take this key.
Junpei handed the Earth key to Santa. They decided that their initial search should be brief.
We have no idea what's on the other side of these. So don't go too far. Just search for 10 minutes and come back.
And decided, the 2 teams split it up. Junpei and June headed for the elevators.
There's a card reader next to the left elevator.
Then let's try out the Saturn key card.
The light on the upper left corner blinked to life.
Great! It looks like it's working now.
All right. Now, how do I call the elevator?
There was a single button to the right of the elevator door.
Oh, it only has the upside down triangle on it.
I guess there's no up button. Well, we may as well try pushing this one.
The door slid shut, and they heard the grinding of the motor as the elevator car moved down.
It opened! Look, Jumpy!
June's voice was excited, but Junpei could hear a tingle of anxiety.
Sweet! It opened! Let's get going.
He grinned at June and stepped toward the open door. He was about to set foot in, he felt a hand on his arm.
Wait!
What?
I'm not really, I just, oh gosh.
Junpei was at something of a loss. What could she possibly be so frightened of? June was probably afraid of... He was afraid because the only elevator button pointed down. That meant, of course, that the elevator couldn't go any higher than the floor they were on. As he thought about it, Junpei realized he hadn't seen elevators in the AOB decks near the central staircase, all of which meant that the elevator could only convey them to the lower decks.
Come to think of it, the lower floor, D deck, is completely underwater. An elevator heading to a submerged floor. That is pretty scary. Hey, wait a minute. This elevator came up from somewhere under us, right?
Well, yes, I guess it did. It didn't open right away after you pressed the button. There was a motor noise, like it was moving, and then it opened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, take a look inside.
Junpei jerked his head toward the interior of the elevator.
It's not wet at all, is it? The walls and even the floor are totally dry.
Oh, you're right. They are.
He looked around the elevator, slightly embarrassed.
Well, let's test it.
Tested.
Yeah, watch this. Now, I'll just put one foot inside the elevator and look over at the buttons. Oh, there's only two. E and C. Alright, I'll push E.
He pushed the E button and jumped out the elevator. The door slid shut, and they heard the grinding of the motor as the elevator car moved down.
I think I can hear it opening on E deck.
Okay, that's done. Now I'll just press the button again.
A few moments later, the elevator returned.
Yep, not a single drop of water to be seen. See?
Junpei couldn't resist puffing out his chest just a little bit. June, however, still looked confused.
What does that mean? How can E deck be safe if the D deck is full of water?
Well, here's what I think. The elevator shaft and E deck must be watertight and separated from wherever the ship's been punctured. Here, let me show you.
He pulled out his notebook and pen and sketched out a rough illustration.
I see. So is that why the ship hasn't sunk? The shape of the inside keeps it all from filling with water?
Yeah, I think that's what's going on.
Junpei continued talking as he closed the notebook and slipped it back into his pocket.
So I'm gonna go down and check it out. You stay here, alright?
But...
Come on, just do it, alright?
Gave June's shoulder a reassuring squeeze and hopped onto the elevator. Pushed the E button and the door began to close. June looked worried, her eyes darting back and forth as if she was trying to make a decision when suddenly...
I'm coming with you!
Huh?
At the last possible moment, June dashed forward, turning sideways just in time to slip through the gap between the closing doors.
Hey! Wait!
Junpei jammed his finger against the open button, but it was too late.
Oh, crap. It closed.
The door had shut. He and June were in the elevator, and it was heading down to E deck. He was so surprised by June that he didn't even have time to think about what awaited him on the E deck.
I can't just let you go alone, you know.
Ah, jeez.
The elevator stopped, and the door slid open. He tentatively stepped out and looked around.
It looks normal.
No fish going about their fishy business, or jellyfish floating lazily through the water. There was, however, a blowfish. Or at least something that looked very much like one. June's cheeks were puffed out and her mouth a tiny, intense frown.
Oh, knock it off. It's just like I thought. This part hasn't flooded. Come on, just look around. There's no water here.
June looked around nervously, then exhaled.
You're right. It's not flooded at all.
See?
But there's a whole lot of water.
Yeah, right on top of us.
What's gonna happen if the ceiling breaks?
Junpei thought about that for a moment.
We'd probably die.
Oh no. Don't be so casual about something like that.
At any rate, we should probably go back as soon as we can, once we're done looking around down here. Lotus and Santa might already be back.
Okay, good idea.
Now then.
Junpei glanced around the room they'd found themselves in. First thing he noticed was a set of thick iron bars. They ran the length of the room, separating the left elevator from the right one.
Iron bars. Well, we can't go over there.
Right.
Then maybe...
In the corner of the room that housed the elevators, Junpei found an opening.
Well,
He walked up to it and stuck his hand around the corner.
it looks like there's a long straight hallway down this way.
Something's written on the door at the end. Wait, is that...
Let's check.
Junpei and June set off down the hallway at a brisk clip, somewhere between a run and a jog. All along, they found themselves in front of the door. On it was a number written in bright red paint. 6.
I knew it!
This is a numbered door.
And indeed, there was a red bolted to the wall right next to the door.
But we can't do anything with only the two of us.
We better head back and let everyone know.
Yes.
Junpei and June turned and headed back to C deck.
Wait, what's this?
On their way back, Junpei noticed a map on the wall.
Is this the map for E-Deck? I should take it with me. Huh, so you guys found door 1.
They'd met back up with Santa and Lotus, who would explain what they'd found. Apparently there was another numbered door on A deck, just like the one on E deck, beyond the door that the Earth key opened. According to Santa and Lotus, there was a 1 on the door.
So now we've located 2 new doors, the 6 door and the 1 door.
You know, it is interesting that E-Deck wasn't flooded.
Lotus was quiet for a moment, lost in thought.
Well, we don't really know if all of E-Deck is safe. We only checked the area around the elevator.
Even so, it's still very interesting.
You said the 6th door was there, right?
Yes.
Then that means Zero planned all this out, even the sinking. That would have meant some pretty serious remodeling of the ship's interior.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
Yeah. I wonder how long it took. I can't even imagine how much it must have cost.
It would have been a ton, that's for sure.
Well, that does go along with what Ace was saying. The most reasonable explanation would be that this was done by some organization with access to a whole lot of cash.
Yes, it does make sense.
That thought made them all go quiet for a moment. June bit a lip, while Lotus sighed softly to herself, and Santa cracked his stiff neck and stared off into the distance at nothing.
Yeah?
I don't think it's a very good idea to stay here.
June looked up at Junpei with large pleading eyes.
Yeah, you're right. Ace and his team might be back already.
Well, Junpei and I should be able to open door 1.
Huh? You guys leaving me behind?
8 plus 6 plus 5 equals 19. 19. 1 plus 9 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1.
Just kidding. All right, let's go.
Lotus's words were all the impetus they needed. Back to the large hospital room they went. The moment they stepped inside, a tremendous voice echoed across the room.
Hey! Where the hell did you guys go?
It was 7.
7?
Ace was right behind him, and Clover was behind Ace, although she seemed to be hanging back,
What's wrong?
as though there was something strange about them. 7 had the look of a man who'd seen a ghost. Ace was just as pale, and Clover looked as though she was only moments from passing out entirely. For a long moment they simply stood there, looking at one another. Junpei looked around nervously, waiting for someone else to speak. No one did. He looked at 7.
What happened?
What the hell kind of question is that?
7 was trying very hard to be angry, but something had shaken him hard. His shoulders were trembling, and his voice was strained.
Snake is...
7 couldn't finish. He just looked away, his face twisted by Junpei wasn't sure what. Instead, he spoke. Took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and spoke.
Snake is dead. He died, just as the 9th man did.
It was as if all the air had suddenly been sucked out of the room. Junpei felt his heartbeat quicken, and he realized he was having trouble breathing. He felt cold sweat beading on his forehead and neck. June, Santa, and Lotus looked the way he felt there. All 3 were frozen in place, their faces white.
Oh my god. That's not true, is it?
We should make sure.
Yeah, right. We should.
They nodded to one another and headed for the number 3 door.
Wait! Not that way!
What? Why not?
They stopped short and turned to look at 7. He was pointing at the door with no number.
I stuck a screwdriver in there to keep the door from closing all the way. It's not locked, so you can go in that way.
Where is he?
The shower room. The left side of the hallway. I put a broom in there too to keep the door open.
That means we can get in without going through the numbered door, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Then let's go.
A new destination clear, Junpei and his companions headed for the door with no number. Once in the hallway, it was easy to spot the metal door on the left wall.
This wasn't open when we passed here before.
Now, just as 7 had said, there was a broom stuck between the door and the frame, keeping it open.
Well, let's keep going.
They looked at it for a moment, and then stepped inside.
Oh, it smells horrible.
Lotus wrinkled her nose and covered her mouth in disgust. Even Santa pinched his nose shut.
Ugh, yeah, this is pretty awful. I feel like I'm gonna puke.
Just as bad as they said, perhaps worse. A hideous smell filled the air, so thick they could almost taste it. It was sour and smelled of fish, feces, and burnt meat. It worked its way through Junpei's nose and down his throat, pounded against the entrance to his stomach. Put his hand over his mouth and struggled to keep what little was in his stomach where it belonged.
Where is he? Where's Snake?
and left to wonder where the body was.
There.
There was blood everywhere. A few arms of the splatter reached towards them as they walked in through the door. All one had to do was follow the many radial arms to their source. The body itself was hidden behind a divider.
June, you should stay here.
But
Please, just do me a favor, okay? Alright?
Didn't give her a chance to say no. Put his hand on her shoulder, as if to shove her into the ground like a tent pole. Turned and walked towards the end of the divider.
I'm going in.
Felt like it took an eternity for him to get there. Santa and Lotus followed, timid and nervous as a pair of children. Eventually they reached the divider. They looked at one another and nodded slowly. Gunpei put his hand on the divider and peered around the corner.
Ugh.
For a moment he forgot to breathe. Felt his heart collapse in his chest like an empty cigarette carton, and time froze. He knew in that instant that he would take the image before him to the grave. What was left of the body sat in a sea of blood. Chunks of flesh torn from the body sat in the blood like tiny islands in a great red sea. A vast ragged hole had been torn in the torso, and what remained of his intestines spilled out of it like fresh spaghetti. Smaller chunks of meat had splattered against the wall and become stuck there as they dried. Globules of yellowish fat had left trails like tiny slugs as gravity pulled them down into the wall, even as they dried to it.
Just like Ace said.
Santa's voice was strained. Gunpei suspected he was holding down some vomit of his own.
Just like the ninth man. The detonator in his bracelet set off the bomb in his gut.
It looked as though the explosion had been quite powerful.
Oh god. The bone is coming out of his left arm.
It's definitely an open fracture.
Legs were both bent in an odd, unnatural way, and his left arm had split open, exposing the painfully white bone of his ulna. His bracelet lay next to him. Seemed to have hit the wall hard enough to have shattered the display, which lay on the ground in pieces.
Oh, the face. It's horrible.
Yeah, you can't even tell who it is.
Half of his head had simply collapsed. The blood coating almost made it look like raw pizza. Raw pizza dough covered in tomato sauce. Clothes too were covered in blood. The burgundy tie, the white shirt, the jacket with the yellow piping, and the grey slacks.
But the clothes are...
They were all familiar to Junpei.
No mistake about it. It's Snake.
Lotus's voice was unnaturally deep and strained, and Junpei heard it catch in her throat. The squeal of tortured metal made Junpei's teeth curl. It sounded like the noise a ghost would make. No matter how many times he heard it, he never got used to it. Every time it put him on edge. It didn't help that there was a girl nearby who looked far more like a ghost than a living human should. It was Clover. Sat on the edge of the bed, her head drooping listlessly onto her chest. Her eyes were blank and stared across the room at nothing. Her breathing was slow and mechanical. Aside from the rise and fall of her chest, she didn't move. Junpei felt as if even a nudge might cause her to shatter into 1,000 pieces.
Snake was probably murdered. Chances are he was killed the same way the ninth man was.
Devin lowered his voice, likely in an effort to keep Clover from hearing what he had to say. There were 4 other people in the room with Junpei and Seven. Ace, Seta, June, and Lotus. Seven looked at each one of them in turn and continued.
It's pretty straightforward. Not that hard to figure out how they did it. First, the killers got Snake to authenticate on the red to open door 3. Then they shoved him into it, alone, and waited 9 seconds for the door to shut. Once that door shut, it was all over for Snake, but he didn't give up. He probably knew it wouldn't do him any good, but he probably ran into the shower room looking for the dead. It was a small chance, but it wasn't like he had anything to lose. Unfortunately, it didn't work. The detonator is only deactivated if everybody who authenticated when they went in uses the dead. Snake was the only one who went through the door. And then, 81 seconds after he was shoved in, that happened.
I see. So that's what you meant by killers, huh? You need at least 3 people to open one of the numbered doors, including Snake. It wouldn't open for Snake and a single killer.
Yeah. That means we're looking at multiple perps here.
Junpei crossed his arms and grunted.
Well, just in case, I want to make sure. Let's say you're right. When do you think Snake was killed?
When we all split up to look for the parts for the Reds, I think. Right after that was when we noticed he was gone.
Then that means none of us have alibis. We were all off searching the rooms we'd been assigned, looking for those parts.
Yeah. That means anybody could be a killer.
Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
June seemed shocked.
How can you say that so casually? You're implying that one of us is a killer.
Well, not just one of us. If I'm right, then at least 2 of us are murderers.
Why don't you calm down a bit, Seven? What are you going to gain by being so suspicious? That's what Zero wants, you know?
What Zero wants?
Exactly. This game was set up by Zero, wasn't it? Any game has a winner and loser. Whoever makes it through door 9 is a winner, and those who don't are the losers. Zero is trying to make us fight against one another for that victory.
Then you're saying that Zero is trying to split us up by making us fight each other?
Yes. That is why we can't let ourselves fall prey to suspicion. We have to trust one another and form a strong bond of friendship. Otherwise, we'll end up ensnared by Zero's manipulations.
Then does that mean that the person who killed Snake...
Yes. Almost certainly Zero himself. If there's anyone we should doubt, it should be Zero. He masterminded this game and kidnapped all of us. Doesn't it seem reasonable that he would have killed Snake as well?
Good question.
Junpei hadn't really considered that.
If Zero killed Snake, then Zero is on the ship with us.
Junpei. Was Zero still on the ship with them? What a shame when it does it. Wasn't sure.
Something's still strange.
What was that?
Well, I'm just wondering about one thing.
And what's that?
How can you be so sure that Zero's on this ship?
Ace's eyebrows shot up.
Really, Junpei? I confess I'm a little disappointed. Usually you're rather sharp. Isn't it obvious?
Wait, it is?
This ship.
Huh?
Zero said, "this ship," several times when he addressed us. he weren't here, he wouldn't say this ship, would he? He'd be saying something like, that ship, or the ship.
Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yes, his explanation made perfect sense. Junpei felt a little foolish that he hadn't seen it himself. Still, he was left with a question, and it was one of no small importance.
If Zero's on the ship, where is he?
Suddenly everyone went very quiet. Silence was cold and clammy, and Junpei could feel it crawling across his back and around his throat. Again he heard the ghosting, moaning noise. Moments later, a person who looked more ghost than human appeared. It was Clover. She looked at the floor as she spoke, and her voice was a cold monotone.
I think Zero is one of us.
Every human body in the room froze. The only sound was the muffled rustling of breath. Only started from face to face. One of those faces was the face of their jailer. Who? Was he one of them?
Well, that's possible.
Huh?
Like Clover said, Zero might be one of us.
What are you saying, Jumpy? Didn't you hear what Ace said?
Exactly. I said we shouldn't suspect one another for no reason.
No reason. I've got a great reason.
And what's that?
The bracelets.
Held out his left arm.
Why are the bombs in our bodies connected to the bracelets? You're all thinking Zero's hiding somewhere watching us, right? If he's doing that, then he could just detonate the bombs by remote control if someone did something they weren't supposed to. It would be a lot more precise and a lot easier. But if that's the case, then why is the bomb set off by the detonator in the bracelet?
You got a point.
I'm not done. Try applying the same ideas to the nonary game. All of the puzzles here run all by themselves. In other words, Zero doesn't have to be controlling them for the game to move forward. Why's that? Why would Zero bother to do something like that?
Junpei let the question hang in the air and looked at the others. It was Santa who answered.
So let's say you and Clover are right. Zero's one of us. If that's the case, then it'd be really hard for him to keep track of all of us or control anything remotely. That's why all the puzzles run by themselves. That's what you're getting at, right?
Yeah.
Junpei nodded.
7, when we were talking earlier, you said any one of us could be Snake's killer, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Alright then. I've got a question for you, Ace. You said something like Zero must be the one who killed Snake, right?
Yes, something like that. I can't think of any other explanation.
So what do we get if we combine those? They fit together pretty well, I think. Something like this. Whoever killed Snake is Zero. Hence, Zero is one of us. 7 and Ace's theories aren't mutually exclusive. They actually complement each other pretty well. At least they do if Zero is one of us.
No one spoke. Their faces were grim, but Junpei wasn't sure if they believed him or not. Finally, Lotus spoke up.
What were his motives?
His motives?
Yes, isn't that pretty important? Why would Zero want to hide as one of us?
Oh, well, that's because...
Junpei choked. He hadn't thought of that, and he had to be honest with himself. He had no idea.
I don't know.
Lotus sighed.
Well, so much for making a persuasive argument, Junpei.
In other words, you only had circumstantial evidence.
I don't really think that's enough to go on, you know?
Ah,
Junpei was painfully aware of their eyes on him, and their disapproval. Tried to find something else, anything else to look at. Then, in that horrible silence, bell begin to ring. It was the clock at the central staircase.
It's 3 in the morning.
That means we have 3 hours left.
Then we need to move now. Seven, Clover, Junpei, I know how you feel, but you do understand that right now it's important we trust one another, don't you?
You're right, but
Junpei couldn't bring himself to respond. He swallowed the words he wanted to say inside. Seven and Clover remained similarly silent. Their eyes were looking at something somewhere else, very far away.
We must go. We have very little time left.
Ace's words put their feet to moving. They all knew where they were going.
our next destination is Mercury.
But maybe you and June should check it out first and then report back to us.
That. Ow. 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 Oh, why does that hurt so much? That will have to be all for today. And tomorrow, unfortunately, because I have something to do tomorrow, which is going to be very, 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 very annoying. So, we shall be back with more on Friday, where we'll most likely finish this route. Oh, we definitely will. But anyway, that would be all for now. Bye.